Here we are, Real Recovery Talk. I am your host, Tom Conrad. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Real Recovery Talk. If you like what you hear, if you like what you see, please feel free to share it with somebody that you think could benefit from this episode. If you have a family member, a loved one, a spouse, maybe you yourself are getting something from this content, please take the time to share it with somebody and leave us a review. Leave us a 5-star review, possibly, or a 1-star review if you hate us. But send us an email and let us know why you're leaving us a 1-star. Give us the opportunity to fix it. In the end, if you would like to reach out to Ben or myself, you can email us, tom@realrecoverytalk.com and ben@realrecoverytalk.com. We would love to hear about your specific situation and see if we can help you navigate it. So, in this episode, I want to discuss something that I think is intentional that we need to do. And this episode is really geared towards people that are kind of getting their feet wet in the whole sobriety thing. Sobriety is something that, it's an ever-changing landscape, let's be honest. Things change rather often, and we need to be able to navigate that in a proper way. But as you know, I like to always reference this devotional that I read, and it's by John Maxwell, and it's a leadership devotional. In the one particular reading I read, it really resonated with me, and it talked about planning your neglect. So that's what I want you to think of, planning your neglect. Now, how does this translate into a recovery type scenario? Well, when we see people come into treatment, for instance, they are really broken. They don't know kind of where to go, what to do, how to navigate this whole sobriety thing. And oftentimes it's something that's very new to them. And with it being new, obviously comes challenges. And we don't expect people to just come into treatment and understand, hey, this is what I need to do in order to stay sober. It doesn't work that way. They need to learn the tools of sobriety. They need to learn how they can build a solid foundation. So when they're faced with triggers or they're faced with situations to where they would usually drink or drug, they know how to handle those situations. Now, in order to learn all of that stuff, you have to focus in on sobriety. You really have to hone in on sobriety and understand that I am going to take this period of time to learn everything there is to learn about staying sober. A lot of times people don't do that, and they have a lot of outside noise, a lot of outside influence kind of come in and take their eye away from what's most important, which is not only being sober, but learning how to be sober moving forward. So that is why this is titled Planning Your Neglect. And again, I got this from the devotional from John Maxwell. It's a devotional business leadership. It references a lot of times that we need to just really focus on what really matters. So when somebody comes into treatment for the first time or the 5th time or the 10th time, they understand, they know, I need to focus on sobriety. Now, what does that look like? Again, as I just talked about, when people are getting sober, we're removing the drugs and the alcohol, and oftentimes they want to supplement it with something else because oftentimes we can't be okay in our own skin. So a lot of times with young adults, anybody really getting sober, they'll look to overcompensate with things. I'll have conversations with clients that, they're newly sober, but now all of a sudden I need to find my career. I need to find that person that I want to date or that I want to have a romantic relationship with. I want to start traveling. I want to really start building on my future now that I'm a sober person. Meanwhile, this person has 72 hours sober. You need to slow down and focus on what really matters. That's point number 1, is focus on what really matters. Do not let outside influence or outside noise dictate what is going to take place for you in the here and now. You really need to understand that you are in treatment, you are in your first week of sobriety, whatever the case is, and do not let your eyes come off of that. You need to really embrace that and kind of sit in it for a while. The second thing that I want you to understand is understand that you're not going to achieve all of this stuff at one time. Sobriety is a journey. You continue to build on it and build on it and build on it as the days, weeks, months, years go by. You're not going to be in the same situation today as you are tomorrow or a week from now or a month from now. But you still need to stay focused. And where does this come in with planning your neglect? Neglect the things that aren't going to help you succeed. And I don't mean, well, I need to have that car because if I can't have that car, I won't be able to get to work. And if I can't get to work, I'm not going to be able to make the money. And if I can't make the money, I won't be able to rent the apartment. And if I can't rent the apartment, then I'm still going to have to live in sober living for the X amount of months or whatever the case is. Rather than just staying in the here and now, understanding that I'm in sober living and I'm in sober living for a reason because just a short 72 hours ago, I had a needle hanging out of my arm. But I have 72 hours clean now, so I should be able to, go get the career, go get the car, go get the job, go get the apartment, go get the new clothes that I wanted, the new shoes, all this stuff. External noise that we're focusing on coming in and ultimately taking away of what's most important is staying sober and our sobriety and building a foundation on that. You're not going to achieve all that stuff at once. And the only thing that you are expected to achieve right now in this very moment is to stay sober. Nobody has these expectations of you other than yourself. That's a hard thing for people to see and to hear and to comprehend when they say, well, people are relying on me. People need me to be able to provide these things for them, yada, yada, yada. And we oftentimes say to them, well, how well did you do in the past doing that? They're used to you not providing these things. They're used to you not showing up. They're used to you not fulfilling your commitments. They're used to you lying, being deceitful, being dishonest, not having any trust. They're used to these things. So don't try and tell me that they're expecting it now because it's been 72 hours that you haven't used any drugs and you haven't used any alcohol. I don't got time for that, okay? It's not going to all come at once. It won't. You're expected to stay sober today. That is it. The third thing that I want to discuss is that sobriety right now for you is it's priority. It really is. I mean, all these things that we say that we want, the car, the relationship, the job, the apartment, the clothes, the financial freedom, the emotional awareness, the mental clarity, the spiritual foundations, all this stuff comes. But it only comes if we stay sober. So why, in our right mind, do we think that it may even make sense to focus on all these other things if we know that our sobriety is at risk? If our sobriety is at risk and we don't have that, none of those other things come to fruition. It never does. Now, the good news is it doesn't take a very long time to start achieving these things. But if we're able to neglect and plan out our neglect and understand, I'm going to put all these things on the back burner, all these tangible items, all these worldly things, all the money, all this stuff, I'm going to put all this stuff on the back burner to really focus in right now on what's most important in me, my sobriety, my emotional well-being, my mental health. If we're able to put all that stuff aside and focus on those things, that stuff that we put aside, it comes to us quicker than we think. But we're in a different position to be able to manage those things. And when we're sober and we're able to manage these things in a responsible way that we're now supposed to do, it's different. It feels different. There was a level of humility. There was a level of effort. There's a sense of achievement when we start getting these things that we intentionally neglected for 6 months, 3 months, whatever it is. So we have to neglect these things. There has to be intentionality behind it and understand that although this stuff could be on a surface level relatively easy to attain, I'm going to make the conscious effort to neglect those things right now so I can focus on what is really most important, and that is my sobriety and building a solid foundation of recovery. I hope that helps you. I hope that you gain something out of that. Again, this is something that I have had to practice on my own. My recovery has been a journey. I'm sober over 12 years now, and I can tell you that it has been an absolute journey. Things are different now than they were last year and the year before that. But it comes with our experience, and we have to experience these things, and we have to just build on ourselves one day after another after another. So again, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to myself, Tom at realrecoverytalk.com, Ben at realrecoverytalk.com. We'd love to have a conversation with you about your specific situation or a loved one's situation. And listen, in the end, we might be able to help you. We might be able to just listen and understand what's going on with you and in your life. And if we can help you, great. If we can't help you personally, we'll try and steer you in a direction of somebody that can. So that is it. We will see y'all later.